Yo, what's going on, folks? Man, I've been slacking on these vlogs, just work, vacation, everything just coming down the bend. I've been doing a lot of the updates when it comes to the race video, but just taking some time to actually stop, get my thoughts together and spit something out has just been lacking. So here we go. So I am going to do a recap on two races, being the Wednesday Wakefield race number 3 and a Wakefield race number 4. So both days were actually, let's start off with number 3. So number 3 actually made it up. If you saw all the results already, I actually made it on my first podium for the series, which is 5th place. That one was 5th out of 23. That day was actually a pretty nice day. Felt good going in, had some good sleep, body felt good. We've been doing some rides already and I've been feeling strong. So it's like, okay, cool. Kind of had a nice routine going and just made sure that I warm myself up leading in to the race. This time I actually did a more of a warm up and then also try to replicate some of the climbs so just before. So I would do a warm up until about 5 minutes before the race start. So that way I'm still kind of warm. My heart rate didn't drop too significantly. I would do some little warm-ups there at the start. The one thing that I didn't do very well is starting, where I always drop back. So one of the guys, the leader, he's in the top 2. One of the things that he does, he actually just does a little stand, like a little balance stand with the last, when they're counting down, like the last 10 seconds or so, and then he launches. Of course, then you don't have to worry about your clips. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. What I did not do. So on race 3, bobbled a little bit on the start, but I still was able to get a good shot up. I think we ended up in the top 8 when we went ahead and did that start out of the 23. I saw Eric Lacey, I believe his last name is. He was the guy that walked me on race 2. And so I was like, okay, race 3, he's in front of me. All right, let me just try and follow his pace as best as possible. And of course, I PR'd a bunch of stuff. We got into some traffic, of course. So we were just kind of pacing for the first lap. We ended up passing that one, those 2 set of guys, basically on the last half or last quarter of the race for lap number 1. And then from there, it was just like, okay, well, let's go ahead and just continue pacing. Oh no, sorry, it was lap number 2. At the start of lap number 2, we went back into the woods, had a guy right in front of us that was setting a really good pace. I forgot who it was, but he was setting a really nice pace. And then we both attacking the first set of berms on lap number 2. Both Eric and I just found our pace and was going. So we hit a little bit of traffic, but we were finding good pace. I was struggling quite a bit to keep up with Eric, but my body was just starting to break down just a little bit as far as that pace. So I would assume that was just over 20 minutes in, where my pace just started slowly going down. Eric and I got some daylight. Eric was leading. He was just asking, "Hey, are you good?" I was like, "Yeah, you whooped me last time. I'm just glad to be even close." And so he's like, "All right, cool, okay." And then as soon as we got out of the woods, he was gone. I tried to stay on his pace for a little bit, but watching his cadence, one of the biggest things that I don't have, and I know I need to work on, I need to just do some more road and gravel, is actually the being in a harder gear all the time, one more gear up at least, and just that constant pedaling. I tried to keep that cadence, and I just didn't have the legs and the effort wasn't there to keep it going. So as soon as I start feeling too much resistance or too much effort about to be exerted, I end up not keeping that gear. What I need to practice is doing that, but then trying to get that cadence going at the higher gear. Instead of just relegating to shifting down and getting a little bit more comfortable. Like, I just need to get out of my comfort zone a little bit more, and then trying to get up to that speed where the cadence and the feel of pressure feels the same, short of going uphill. This is primarily on stuff that's flat, where you can just get those gains. Anything that's downhill, then I need to just make sure that I keep in a higher gear and keep switching through the gears to get that momentum wherever I can, get some downhill speed and keep that momentum. A lot of times I was getting complacent as I was getting tired, where I'll have a downhill, I'll be having a nice cadence, and then my cadence will be going faster, and where I should be upshifting, and I just stay in that fast cadence, like, oh, shift up. You have the momentum. You use the downhill to get the momentum, so that way you can sustain 1-2 mile per hour more, being in one gear higher. So so kept it going on for this is race 3. So Eric just blew off. He was gone. The next person up, that I was just really just riding my ride at that point, getting a little bit tired. I had Jeff, which is one of the guys that we actually passed before the berms on the first lap. He ended up chasing me down. I was getting tired, but my strategy has always been, hey, if you're too tired, especially approaching the berms, you know you can do the berms at 15 miles per hour standing and pumping on the big bike. So let's just say that's about 12 miles on a small bike, pending confidence. And then sitting down, I can do it at 8 miles per hour, between 8 and 10 miles per hour. So that's still actually fast enough versus most of the guys. So I actually end up catching them all the time, even when sitting down on the berm. So I was like, okay, my strategy has always been to sit down, recoup on at least half of the berms, if not the whole thing or most of it. And then the last one is when the speeds really start picking up. So, and you want to carry that momentum with the jumps and take that down the hill without trying to pedal a bunch, right? So from there, approaching the berms, Jeff passed me. And so I was like, okay, well, I slowed up for the uphill switchbacks. And because I did that, he had to burn a match just trying to chase me. And so with that, I actually intentionally just maintained. I was like, okay, just maintain, get to the berms. He's gonna pass, which he did on approach to the berms. I know I can chase him on the berms. So with that chase, he's gonna exert a lot of energy. We're gonna get down to the bottom, and it's nothing but a hill going up. So with that, as soon as we got down to the bottom and hit the water, I just stayed tight to the left. It's a little bit more risk, and it gets a little bit more rocky over there, but he stayed to what is the regular line, and I cut in really tight, took a nice little risk, and had enough energy because I recovered from the downhill on the berms in order to make a strong push all the way to the end. And so that's been my strategy for a while, where I can. And that little hill, people are just gassed. Like, everybody's chasing each other, and when you're getting tailed versus chasing somebody, man, is it different. And so that's a whole different video trying to talk about that. So I was able to pass Jeff, and then made my charge up, and then I saw Eric up front. He got in like 10 seconds before me on race 3, and then I ended up with my first podium spot of the series in fifth place. So got my $10 from Bike Lane. Thanks, Bike Lane, for sponsoring the series. Went to their shop. It's a nice shop right there by Lake Fairfax. They got their beers. They have a cafe. You can get some food. It's a really nice setup, from apparel to parts, bike shop, cafe, food, beer, tea, coffee, etc. Man, it had a nice setup there where you can just do a little bit of everything. So let's go on to race 4. So race 4, it's just hot, man. It's hot, and at this point, it's like I forgot when I was packing. I grabbed a long sleeve shirt it says heat. It's an Under Armour heat shirt, which is supposed to keep you cool. I don't know why it says heat, but whatever. It should say cool and like keep you cool, but whatever. Their cool series is for the winter, but I digress. So I had that. It's hot as heck outside. All my water, I forgot to refill with some colder water. To my strategy for that day was going to be drink all my electrolytes before the race to get the sugars, get all the stuff in, because I can't really drink while riding. Then I was going to put cold water in the water bottle to spray on top of my head, back, and legs. The water, because I forgot to refill, ended up being just my room temperature water that I had in the bottle. So it was like, God damn it. So that, it was just really like throwing extra sweat on your back. So it didn't really help whatsoever. I did it once. I was like, this ain't even doing nothing. This is just like me sweating. So I just gutted it out. But I didn't feel great yesterday for that race. I went in basically the whole week. I've been lax on the body. I just wasn't recovering very well for whatever reason. I haven't been getting sleep either. So as Garmin would say, my body battery was low. But try to overcome that with the sugars, with the warm up, getting some adequate warm up. There's the hill that you come down to actually start the race. The hill that everybody comes in to get in place. That's actually a nice hill. It isn't as severe as the start hill, but it's a nice hill if you want to do a quick warm up. So I decided, okay, most people are here. I'm going to go up into the tree line and feel it all out. And if you try to carry that, especially 5 minutes before the race, that gets you mentally and body know how much pressure you have to push to go up the hill, which when I did that, I was like, okay, awesome. And then coming down the hill is kind of like you doing that first set of berms where it's kind of slippery and everything. So it's just getting your body acclimated to what's about to hit you in the face. That's the way I felt anyway, especially the way that I was feeling yesterday. So it's only 13 people in the 40 to 49. Went ahead and get to my usual right side. And then on the right side is actually one of the leaders. He actually starts over there as well. And so myself, and really two of the top 4 guys start there, and then the other 2 guys start in the middle. For whatever reason, I don't know. They were normally in the middle. I don't remember them really being on my side. But what it ends up happening is that you're not as close to everybody. You kind of have a little bit more free air. So they had great starts and they just got a great hole shot. So I forgot the gentleman's name. I think he ended up in 3rd place. And he just got a great hole shot. He has the Epic with the flight attendant, and he also just did a nice little standee right there at the beginning. So he got a great hole shot. He was gone. Unbeknownst to me, Eric got caught up in the middle with a little bit of shuffle. But I had clear day. I had no issues going up. I think I slept twice. So I just had the right path going all the way up. I just followed the leaders all the way up. Ended up, I want to say, in the 6th spot. By the time we got up there, my best start to going left, and then coming down to the berms as per Strava, because I wasn't slipping all over the place. Had a nice shot up. What I should have done was actually went around that first guy. My mind told me just go past him. Potentially he may not take the berms in the next session that fast. I was like, well, I'm feeling kind of out of it today. I'll just go ahead and chill behind him, see how he does. His pace was a little bit behind what I would normally take as far as on a flow sense. He had good pedal, but when it comes to some of the flow, I had to check up on some spots, so that kind of hurt me. And then we kept seeing that gap gaining away from the next pack. I was okay with it after a while because I just didn't have enough to chase the pack anyway. So I wasn't in great condition yesterday. I feel Strava may say otherwise. Like I did a pretty good pace on my first lap, which I'm actually happy about, because I was actually once I passed that gentleman on the first big sprint, The first sprint, it's too short to really kind of make a push. So I just backed off because he had good strength on that first one. And then the second one, after basically just riding his tail the whole time, went around. I was able to make a push, but looking at the stats, it looks like I was one gear lower. And in some way I was like, okay, well, just take that as a relax and then go from there. So made my push to go up after that first sprint. Ended up passing just traffic, and then just kept on rolling. Got out there, and then I heard Eric right behind me. I was like, what are you doing back here? So he must have just got held up a little bit in the beginning. And so we ended up kind of following a chase, going up to the front. So we felt good. And then at the end of the first lap, I just pointed him by. He was right on my tail. As soon as we hit the first lap trigger, I just made room. I knew it was Eric. I can't keep up with Eric, especially on anything to sustain. And I was starting to feel gassed with the heat and everything, and just how my body was feeling. Pointing him by, he was gone. I tried to keep up with him a little bit in some of the usual spots, some of the tech spots, as best as I could. But I actually started losing a little bit of focus. I had to keep talking to myself as far as to stay focused. I actually had to slow down some of the pace here and there in order to keep the focus. What a combination of heat and everything was just getting to me. So from there, Eric's gone. So it's just a matter of sustaining as much as I can. I kept telling myself, stop being complacent, push it where you can, and keep going. So that stayed true all the way to basically the end, which it all worked out pretty darn well. I don't know if the person that I end up passing, I don't know what group they're in. I assume they were in the 30s, is all I could think of, because I caught up to him right after I saw him on the berms. He's ahead. He finished out the berms, but I still had my strategy. I saw Johnny and Casey was behind me going up the switchbacks to the berms. I was like trying to fend them off as best as possible. They were right on me on the last bit of switchbacks. And then I want to say that it was Johnny, probably Johnny, was right on my butt right at the berms. But I wasn't worried at all because that's my recovery area. And so as soon as the last two berms hit, I stand up and I can get my max speed, and I can really carry the speed all the way down the hill, barely braking. So I wasn't worried about that portion. It was just a matter of making sure that I can focus to carry the speed like I normally can. I was able to all the way up to the water crossing, which I then found out I was in the wrong gear, but that was no problem. Went ahead. I was able to get a little bit of distance. Then that next little light hill, was able to follow that through fairly well. Johnny and Casey are back there chasing, of course, but the gentleman that's in front is going a little bit slower. So, but I didn't really have that much room to pass. He was going at a good rate right at that time. So I set it up for the log jump. I was like, okay, I'm not going to fight and push too much to go by him, because I would have to light the candle way too early. I like lighting the candle right after that log, whether I do the jump or not. So already had the jump in mind, lined up literally next to him. I know he was probably like, why am I on the inside line for this right-hander? This is a left-right-hander kind of chicane if you go around the log. But I just put my front tire literally where his leg was, and then just jumped over, because unless he was going to jump, and he looked like he was tired and he wasn't going to do it. So I just jumped right next to him as he was going around, and then I just started sprinting. From there, I had the energy. I knew that I can light the candle for that next bit of 2,000 feet or whatever the case may be. That mini downhill, flowy, going up, making the switchback. I was making that switchback, and then I saw Johnny or Casey fairly close, and then I was just like, yep, just gotta gut it out all the way to the end. So did that, peeled out up that hill, peeled out all the way, switching up gears, feeling so gassed, so exhausted. Barely, I actually started getting a little blurry-eyed and losing focus a little bit just because I was pushing that hard for me. And then got through the got by the finish where the last tree line is, and was like, yes, yes, no one's behind me. Let me slow the hell down and just cross this finish. And I swear I was about to throw up. I was done, man. I was hurt so bad that it was just like, yeah, I can't believe I got through this. But I did. Happy about it. Finished out in 5th place. Eric was ahead. I didn't see him this time near me. Actually, yeah, I could see him as I was coming up the hill. I looked back, and that's when I slowed down. And he of course, beat me. I can't catch Eric. That would be a nice one for next year to try and get my endurance and everything up to be able, and my sustainability up in order to try and chase him for next year. So right now, finished out in 5th. Total points for the series, I end up in 6th. Congratulations to Casey that beat me by 3 points. Race 1 was my downfall because I didn't know the course, I didn't know the strategy at all, and I sat behind some folks at that time. Ended up in 9th, I believe, and so Casey got 5th place on race 1. Race 2, I think we were fairly close. I got 5th and then 5th on race 3 and 4 respectively, and he had me from that race 1. So it was a good battle trying to do it. So hopefully I can try and repeat and get better for next year, as other competitors are going to get better, of course. So we'll see how it goes. Shout out to Justin. He got 5th as well in the beginners class. So, you know, shout out to him on that one. This is both of our first race series going through. I did do pick all, but I missed one of the 4 races, so that's not a full series to me. I did 3 out of the 4. This is the first full series that I completed, so I'm happy. I'm stoked about it. Great learning lessons. Now it's time to start working on longer rides. Moco plus 55 is what I'm going to call it. Whether I do the 55 casually with the guys, or if I do the 75 with group 1 with MVD, we'll see what's up. But either way, it's going to be from here on doing a little bit longer rides. I do have some races, but work on my sustain, work on some of my speed. And then talking, I believe his name was Graham, I was just like, yeah, I was going to touch bases with y'all and see how y'all just get stronger. He's like, just ride. He's like, literally, just ride as much as you can and you'll get stronger. He's like, even if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or what have you, go out there, pedal, and then, of course, do your longer rides on when you can. But for the most part, just try and ride as frequently as possible. Just keep your muscles going. So I'm going to end up doing that. Hate the road, but I know I got to do some road sustain around the house. Some of the laps that I end up doing. So I'm going to keep that up. Damn, this is long. Wasn't expecting that, but I want to get it all out. That's 2 recaps. Nice for Wakefield Wednesdays. If you're down there, check it out. Check out my race videos if somehow you're listening to me all the way through for the dozens and dozens of people. I think it's only like a dozen people that actually watch it this far, if that. But anyway, thank y'all. Like, subscribe, all the doodads. If you're back here, I'm sure you're already doing that. So thanks a lot. Next race is going to be potentially Fair Hill. We'll see if I have time for that. And then it's going to be, I got to check out what else is out there, but we got the Shenandoah 100K later on at the end of summer. And then we also have Fountainhead, forgot the name of it, like something monkey, cranky monkey. That's going to be a Fountainhead. See what I do on that one. I may end up trying to push and do the hard long one, or one more down. I think it's a 15-miler that I end up trying to do that has a nice variety, a little mix of the black, but not all the black. So we'll see what's up, and I'll be training, going out there at Fountainhead and just doing laps. The plan is to at least do 2 laps at Fountainhead, get myself stronger, and I'll go from there. So all right, deuces, I'll catch y'all. Thanks for sticking through, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.